Calling all quilters and quilt lovers, of course. The Quiltfest is back. Two of the people behind the event are joining us now. We've got Jeannie Jacobson and Jill Smith. Welcome to First Coast Living.
Oh, thank you, Jordan, for having us.
And you've decorated our studio so beautifully. I love it. Everything looks so cool. We'll get to that in just a second. But before we get into that, what exactly is the Jacksonville Quilt Fest?
So Quiltfest is put on by 6 quilt guilds in our local community, and we do this. It's an annual event for us, except for the last 2 years, of course, because of COVID. So this is our first time back since 2019, and we're really excited. Quiltfest is comprised of people submit quilts for judging. We've got 380 quilts this year.
Oh, wow.
Plus we have vendors who are selling, fabric and notions and all that kind of fun stuff for us.
And a silent auction that we'll get to in just a moment.
Right.
But I mean, everybody quilts though, right? There might be a misconception that it's your grandma,
Yeah.
But it's all ages. Tell us who might be there.
Well, like I like to say, quilting is not just for grannies. We've got young quilters who we've got 15 young quilts who've submitted their quilts for Quiltfest this year. We've got men who quilt, people of all ages, and it's very diverse who quilts.
Right. Let's talk about what breaks down. Let's break it down. What exactly makes a quilt, and how is it made?
Okay, well, give an example. This is a quilt that I made. So you have to come up with, and it doesn't have to be like this. It could be squares or triangles. You just come up with your front. You make your front. You can see the back on this
Skeleton.
one, the skeletons. And then there's like a cotton batting in between. So once you're done with your front, you layer them all together, and then what actually holds the quilt together are these quilting lines, and poof, you have a quilt.
And that's just whatever design you choose,
Well,
right?
that's whatever design you choose. And the wonderful thing about quilting is it's not just one specific design.
Right.
You have modern quilt, paper piece quilt, English paper piece quilts. And what people have to understand about quilting is the lines in between is what makes up the quiltings, how you do the lines in between.
And that can probably be very time consuming. So on average, a small one like that, you call it a miniature quilt, right?
Right, yeah.
How long would that take about?
Let's say 3 to 5 hours, depending.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
well, what about this one? This is like one that goes on your bed, right? Or a
Right, yeah,
couch.
it's a little bit bigger, a little bit more intricate. That was probably 8 to 12 for the top.
Okay, and that still seems better than what I was expecting, but y'all been doing it 30 plus years. We were talking earlier, though, it could take up to years.
It can take up to years. We have a lot of people that enter their quilts in competitions throughout the whole world.
Wow.
And some of those people have worked on their quilts easily up to 5, 6, 7 years.
Really?
Yes, it can take a while to get it exactly right.
Well, and I'm sure there's a lot of perfectionists out there, right?
There's a
Right.
lot
Okay,
of
let's talk about some of the quilts that you brought here. And I noticed not all of them are just like the quilts that
yeah.
lay down like this.
No, so we don't just do quilts, not just, like I said, maybe what your grandmother used to do. We do things like, do you mind if I get up?
Sure, go for it.
We do things, like this is a rope basket that was
is so
made.
cute.
You can make coasters. Here's other little baskets. And to make it even more fun, here's a little container that was made to hold your little USB.
How cool.
For when you do embroidery. So it's more than just making quilts. We
Right.
do a lot of other fun things as well.
And Jill, you brought a couple that had the 3D component to it.
I did. There's a lot of ways you can do the 3D component, and these right here are up for our silent auction.
Okay.
So if I may, our silent auction is held every year that we hold our Quilt Fest. This year's recipient for our silent auction is going to be FSCJ's VERC department, and VERC stands for Visual Education Rehabilitation Center. And those are the people who need assistance because they are visually impaired. And so, with that being said, we have bought touch quilts for them to feel, and we also are going to sell these. Our auction for our silent auction starts at $5 and then it goes up. And we also have quilts that you can buy it now, or miniature quilts that you can buy it now. And I want to tell you, what makes a miniature quilt for our auction is anything that is 24 by 24 or less in size.
Okay, a miniature quilt. And then, I mean, how big can they get? I guess as big as you want them, but...
No, our maximum for our show is
Yeah.
120 by 120.
Okay, do you get a lot of those?
This year, I probably have about a half a dozen to a dozen quilts that are just a little bit smaller than that, but those are really big quilts.
And really quickly before we go, I have to know, and I would like both of you to answer. Jeannie, you can go first. What got you into quilting?
Well, I already knew how to sew, and I was a brand new Navy girl, and I needed station in Okinawa, and I wanted to do something with my free time.
Yeah.
So and it helped me make friends. Quilting
Okay.
definitely helps you make friends.
What about you, Jill?
I've been sewing since 1971. My mother was a master tailor, so it was like primary in my family.
Yes.
We had to sew. And I continued throughout my military career as well. And she's correct. Every time we moved duty stations, we always signed up for another guild.
Yep.
That's so wonderful. And again, thank you both for we were talking earlier, they were both in the Navy, their spouses were in the military, so thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If somebody wants to learn a little bit more, though, about the Jacksonville Quilt Fest, where can they go?
You ready?
You ready?
Quiltfestjacks.com.
Quiltfestjacks.com. Thank you both so much for joining us today, and
Thank you.
your work is beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Of course. And if you'd like to see this segment again, just head to our website at firstcoastliving.net.